I received a comment the other day from Michelle. Hi Michelle, you know who you are. And that comment prompted this entire video, so let's start with Michelle's comment. She says, "Hi, great video. Thank you. What are your thoughts on Jerusha Couture leaving because of the YouTube luxury handbag toxic behavior? She became so unhappy with the pressure of YouTube. I tend to unbox every week. Is the pressure too much? How about the pressure of affiliate links? Can you address the idea of untrustworthy reviews versus you actually keeping and using the bags you show? 30,000 subscribers want to know." Michelle, thank you for those questions. I appreciate it. I found them very interesting. At the time I received this comment, I had heard about Jerusha's video, but I hadn't seen it yet, so I hopped over and watched it. I will have that linked in the description box below if you haven't seen it yet. I would definitely recommend checking it out. We all know who Jerusha is, and not only does she have this big announcement about stepping back from YouTube, but she also has several fabulous Hermes unboxings and a Louis Vuitton giveaway. Go watch and try to be part of that. I also watched a video by Deb of Wild Unfiltered that was related quite a bit to Jerusha's video. Both of them talked about some changes that have been going on in the luxury YouTube community, and I read some of the comments on those videos. So in this video, I'll use Michelle's questions to give my response to Jerusha and Deb's videos and talk about these changes in YouTube from my perspective, because they both framed those changes in kind of negative ways, especially Jerusha. I've had a different experience on YouTube, so I think it's important to share that and to present an alternate way to view some of the things that they brought up as potential problems. And before we dive in, welcome. I'm Autumn Beckman, and I'm here to help you live your most luxurious life within your budget. Please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Saturdays, or my daily community posts where I post fabulous finds and great sales to take advantage of. Also be sure to check out my website, autumnbeckman.com, where you can find things I've designed to help you organize and curate a purposeful collection of your most treasured items, such as the My Handbag Collection Organizer. This is the front and back of the heart of this organizer, the item tracker pages. Now back to this conversation, I think it's important to note up front the perspective that I'm coming to this conversation from, especially for those of you who aren't familiar with me yet. I was a teacher for 12 years. I just left that job a year ago, and for the last 6 of those years, I've also been doing this YouTube channel. Since I left teaching, I have been doing YouTube full-time, as well as having moved with my family across the country. And next Tuesday, in fact, I'm going to be doing a video on what led to me leaving teaching and then what has happened since. And I know some of you were expecting that video to come out today, but I pushed it to get this out in a more timely manner while Jerusha's video is still fresh on people's minds. For many years now, I have taken YouTube seriously as a business, and now that I'm doing it full time, I'm also developing some other projects related to that. For example, that planner. I've spent a lot of time researching YouTube as a business and learning how to do it better and trying to implement what I've learned. So Michelle's first question was, what are your thoughts on Jerusha leaving because of the YouTube luxury handbag toxic behavior? Just to clarify one point, Jerusha did not say in her video that she's leaving. She said she's taking a break from social media, stepping back from it. She didn't say she's quitting. She didn't say she won't be back. She did mention a few things that she found to be toxic. One of those was the mean comment people, as I call them. Unfortunately, that is just a part of social media. It shouldn't be, because we should all be decent human beings who treat each other the way that we would want to be treated. Personally, I've never left a mean comment for anybody because that's not who I am. It's not how I want to behave toward other people. And there are a lot of people who think that because someone puts themselves on YouTube, it means they're kind of inviting that negativity and that you're fair game. And that is just simply not true. Even though there are screens between us, we're still interacting with other humans here. And when you choose to be mean and leave negative comments, mean comments, all they do is they tell people who you are, the commenter. So I have learned over my years dealing with this, and I've been very fortunate not to receive that many negative comments in terms of the percentage of comments I get in total. But I have learned not to put any stock in that, because if someone said something like that to me in person, I would have no respect for them. That's not the kind of person whose opinion I would value in any way. And I hope that Jerusha knows that. She has a very large channel in the YouTube space, and with more people, you tend to get more negative comments. So I hope she knows it's not really about her. And that goes for all of us. She also talked about there being a hierarchy in luxury YouTube. So here's my perspective on that. I think it's only toxic if you make it that way. And what I mean by that is, first of all, don't behave that way yourself. But second, don't associate with people who behave that way. All of the people that I associate with and remain associated with who are also YouTubers in the luxury space, I have not seen toxicity from them. I have seen it from some people that I don't associate with. And you would never know who those people are, because I'm not someone who calls out other people. I think that's a toxic thing to do. But the people that I do associate with, none of that happens. It's a very supportive group. We help each other. We celebrate each other. And we do that on screen and off. And we do it related to YouTube things and related to personal things, because we have friendships outside of our channels. So the simple way to solve these problems is to block the negative people, because they don't belong here, and to disassociate, or not associate in the first place, with people who have traits you don't like. Like if they're gossipy, or if they're all about drama, or if they call people out publicly instead of dealing with their personal matters in private, or if they behave in ways that are competitive when that's not what you want. Again, the group that I associate with, there's absolutely no competition between us. It's all about support. Now, Michelle asked 4 questions, but the middle 2 I've combined into one section. The next is, Jerusha became so unhappy with the pressure of YouTube. You tend to unbox every week, that's me. Is the pressure too much? And how about the pressure of affiliate links? So the key word here is pressure. I think if you're a YouTuber and you're feeling pressure, it is self-imposed. And I think it only comes if you have goals for your channel. And I thought of 2 goals that most YouTubers would have. One is growing their subscriber count. Now this used to be a really popular thing to do, but as time has gone on and we've learned more about YouTube and channel growth, we've learned that subscriber count is virtually meaningless. It's really just a vanity metric. The second goal that a lot of people have on YouTube, and this is what I do, is earning income from it. That is definitely the more difficult of the 2 goals and the more meaningful. It requires a lot of learning, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a ton of work, and it requires strategizing, because most channels take a long time to grow. So you want to learn as much as you can and implement that learning, try new things, analyze the data that you have, so you can figure out what works best for you. And things on YouTube are always changing. Everything's always evolving. So it's a constant learning and reworking process. Now for me, I do have goals because I'm doing this as my job right now, but it's rare that I feel pressured by them. It's true that I do unboxings every week. Saturdays are my unboxing day, but I have never felt pressured to do an unboxing. I've never felt like I have to buy something to be able to unbox something on the channel. I'm just fortunate that I happen to enjoy a wide range of things. And since my channel has always been about luxury living on a budget, I've never been one like some of the more popular channels in the luxury YouTube space to do constant unboxings of brand new bags from boutiques, which is extremely expensive. I certainly can't afford that, so I show things that are more affordable. I'm also fortunate that I don't get attached to things very easily, so it's easy for me to let go of things when they no longer serve me. Now, Jerusha and Deb both mentioned that they feel like they wouldn't want to count on YouTube to support themselves and their families because there would be a lot of pressure there. From my perspective though, I would counter that it's just like any other form of self-employment. You have to learn, you have to try new things, you have to figure it out. You have to be persistent, you have to be consistent. You always have to push yourself to do better. And you pretty much always have to be working. Like for me, if I'm awake, there's almost 100% chance that I'm working. It also has to do with your life choices and the resulting expenses that those require. My expenses happen to be very low. We have a reasonable rent, I don't have a car payment, I don't have children, and we don't have expensive vacations because we chose to move to a place now where we can take day trips to these places we used to dream of. But of course, if you make more expensive life choices, choices, then you need more money each month to support those choices, and that can result in more pressure on you. I would also point out working in another job for someone else can have just as much pressure involved, if not a lot more. That is certainly the case with me when I was teaching. It was an incredibly stressful job, and a job that I took home with me, and then also did YouTube on top of that. So now I am so much happier, and I feel almost no pressure, almost no stress, because at least when you're working for yourself, you have the freedom to create your own path rather than be subject to what other people want or require from you. So in that case, any stress, any pressure is something you've created for yourself. And I'm sure there are some exceptions to that, but generally speaking. And I will talk more in next Tuesday's video about the stress and the pressures from teaching, why that ultimately led me to leave, so remember to check that out. Another thread that ran through both of these videos was the idea of YouTube as a job and what that entails. I think as time has gone on and YouTubers have talked about it more people who don't do YouTube are becoming more familiar with how much work it really is. But I still think the overwhelming perspective is that it's not a real job and that it's an easy thing to do. You just come up with an idea, you sit down and talk for 20 minutes in front of a camera, and then you upload it to YouTube. I am not going to go into depth about how much more is involved. So much more. I've talked about that in other videos. But I will say that in Jerusha's video, she mentioned that she got to a place where she was so unhappy with YouTube that she didn't want to film, didn't want to edit, she didn't want to negotiate with companies or talk business with her management team. And my response to that would be, most of those things you don't have to do. You can still be a YouTuber if you want to. So unless you have a goal of making money, you don't need to work with companies, you don't need a management team. You can source out the editing. In our luxury YouTube space, you still typically need to do the filming yourself. She certainly would, because I think anybody who wants to see a Jerusha video wants to see Jerusha in it, right? She also at one point in the video says that being a YouTuber is not a job, that it's not a career, that you don't have to go to school to study this, and there's no degree in it. For most of the things that I'm kind of disagreeing on here, I'm just offering a different perspective. Both can be true. In this case, though, I have to strongly disagree with that. YouTube absolutely is a job. Being a content creator is a job. Whether it's taught in schools yet, whether there's a degree for it yet, does not matter. If you need that kind of thing to legitimize it, get a marketing degree, get a communications degree. There are all kinds of degrees that relate to what you can do on YouTube. There are more and more college courses geared toward that now. But I would also point out that there are a ton of jobs and careers where no formal education is required, and that most people who do have a college degree don't work in the field that they got their degree in. So the university part just really has nothing to do with it, in my opinion. She also mentions that YouTube is very young and it's not a secure platform to have a career in, to rely on for a long-term living. That I 100% agree with. Compared to a lot of other kinds of careers, being a YouTuber content creator is a very new one. YouTube is one of the most well-established platforms to be on and one of the most popular for creators, but there's still so much that's out of your control. Look what happened with MySpace, if you remember that one, it disappeared. Look what happened with Twitter when it was taken over last year. Things change on these platforms all the time and we don't have any control over that. And those changes can greatly affect all kinds of things with your channel that ultimately affect the income you're able to earn. And that's why if you do want to be a content creator or any number of other careers that most people would consider a real job, even though this one is too, it's very important to have backup plans and to diversify your income, because it's not just about being on social media that's unstable. So many sectors are very unstable right now because of the economy. We've seen all kinds of huge layoffs. People who thought they were in secure jobs at secure companies, and suddenly it's gone. And people are having a lot of trouble finding another job for a variety of reasons. So it almost doesn't matter what your job, your career is these days. You need a backup plan and you need to diversify. And I'm just going to plug this one more time while we're talking about this. That's why I developed the My Handbag Collection Organizer. It's another thing that I can do that's related to my channel that can bring in some extra income each month. I also have a lot of other ideas that I'll be implementing down the road. And again, if you don't want YouTube to be your job, and you're not trying to grow your subscribers or your income with it, then it doesn't have to be a job. You can make whatever videos you want to make and just have fun with it like we all did in the very beginning. Because I think most of us don't start these channels thinking that we're going to be earning income. And if you are, you're in for a rude awakening, because on this platform in particular, luxury YouTube, it's a niche thing. It takes a very long time and so much work to get to a place where you're earning anything significant. Michelle's third question is a fantastic one. Can you address the idea of untrustworthy reviews versus you actually keeping and using the bags you show? By untrustworthy reviews, I maybe need a little bit of clarification here. I think that could be two different things. One could be brand deals where someone's paid to show a product and promote it. They're paid either in money or with free product. By the way, I did a video not too long ago about brand deals and sponsorships where I go much more in depth about how that really works behind the scenes. So if you're interested in more detail about that, I will have it linked below, along with Jerusha and Deb's videos. Did I already mention that? The other thing I think it could mean is people who buy bags and have no intention of keeping them. They either send them back or they resell them, or maybe they give them away. So I think in that case, if you're showing something and you're saying how great it is even though you have no intention of keeping it, I don't find that untrustworthy. And the reason for that is compare it to other channels that do the same thing. For example, if you have a photography channel and you're showing different camera gear, that doesn't mean you're going to keep all the camera gear, and it doesn't mean that the camera gear that you're showing that you love, it doesn't mean you're lying about it. It just means you have a channel where you show camera gear and you talk about it and you give reviews on it. It is literally no different from a channel where you show handbags. Whether or not you keep the item does not invalidate your opinion of the item. Now with brand deals, there's a perception that that could be different because people are paid. That's where you might want to watch my brand deal and sponsorship video. So in this case, it really depends on the YouTuber and the deal that they have with the brand. And I feel like any time a YouTuber talks about working with a brand or doing a sponsorship or being paid to promote something, or being paid at all for doing work on YouTube, inevitably they get negative comments. I don't know about you, but I was always told growing up by my parents, but also by society, that the ideal thing for you to do as a career, for any of us to do, is to find something that you love and figure out a way to earn a living from it. That's the dream, right? You get to do something that you enjoy, you make a living from it, and you have the freedom, if you're working for yourself, that entails. And the people who are doing YouTube for a living have done exactly that. So it just baffles me, it blows my mind that there are so many people who throw negativity out at this and think that that's a bad thing or an invalid thing. I really just don't understand why that upsets people. So if there's a brand deal, you see a YouTuber that you like who's promoting some product, some people automatically don't trust them. They think they've sold out, or they think they're lying. And sometimes the YouTuber may give you reason to think that, like if they're promoting something that seems to have nothing to do with what they usually talk about, or is not something that they would usually purchase. It's not up to their standards somehow, or their interests. But I think more often than not that the people who don't trust a YouTuber for promoting something are projecting that mistrust. That it's not about the YouTuber, it's about the person interpreting the YouTuber in a negative way. Personally, I'm very selective about the companies I work with. YouTubers get often multiple offers a day. I've only worked with a handful of companies over the 7 years I've been on YouTube, and they are always places that I absolutely would buy from, and I believe in their product. I have before agreed to work someone and then received their product and not liked it and sent it back and not talked about their product. Like, I will only talk about things I actually enjoy and believe in. And that could be a poor business decision on my part. You know, maybe I'm losing out on a lot of money by not promoting more things. But that's a personal standard I have, that I have to like the product and agree with it and believe in it. But I do think overall that your perception of a YouTuber that you otherwise enjoy, if your perception of them changes, especially if it's negative, that's really a reflection of you and not them. So finally, both Jerusha and Deb talked about a few ways that YouTube has changed, luxury YouTube in particular. Jerusha mentions that views are down on luxury YouTube, and that is true. That's been going on for at least a year now. I think we're all aware of it. It was about a year ago when we started seeing people say that they were exiting YouTube or that they were starting to change their content. And what I think we've all surmised is this has to do with the economy more than anything anything else. I think if people could still afford luxury bags as easily as we could a few years ago, that luxury YouTube would still be thriving. But since people can't, a lot of people aren't watching videos about things that they want but can't afford right now. So luxury YouTubers have had to try new things. It's just like any other business, just like when COVID hit and the world was shut down and businesses had to pivot and adapt to do new things to still be able to bring in income. It's the same with YouTube. Doing social media, it fluctuates, it goes up and down, things change. You have to be on top of it. You have to have a backup plan. You have to be able to adapt and change what you're doing in some way and still try to either retain your audience or draw in a new audience or both. It's a tricky thing to do, but it's a business strategy. And I would venture to say some of the people who have pivoted or who have gotten rid of their luxury collections, they've blamed it on an epiphany that they've had in their 20s or 30s where they have finally just now realized that, oh gosh, these handbags aren't what give me value as a person, so I'm just gonna get rid of them. I call bull on that, okay? And I think if it was one or two people, it'd be more believable, but for me, and I'm speculating here, I don't know these people, but for me, I think it is completely a business strategy. And I think as soon as the economy is back up and there's more interest in luxury again, these people will be back at that content. Deb was saying in her video, she was talking about things that used to happen all the time on luxury YouTube that don't so much anymore, like what fits videos, haul videos, what's in my bag. And she mentioned that for a lot of YouTubers, their channels, as they grow, it seems to change. It seems to start as a passion project. They start it because they love handbags and it's a fun thing for them, but then it turns into a business. And I think that's absolutely true too. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Again, I think figuring out how to earn income by doing something you love is a wonderful thing. Don't we all want to do that? And it's no different from any other business. Let's say you love making candles and you start selling candles and it grows into a big candle business. It's the same thing. But for some reason, there's this disconnect for some people where they think, well, that's okay, but what you're doing on YouTube is not okay. It's okay for that business to earn money and to advertise, but it's not okay for you. And in one of these videos, there was a comment that I found really thought-provoking. And they said they didn't like supporting a luxury YouTube channel when it means it supports that creator's lifestyle, and then that creator then takes their lifestyle and feeds it back to the audience as content. And I thought that was kind of fascinating, and I thought about it for a while. And I thought, but really, that's no different from what other businesses do either. Think about a store, whether it's a little small boutique on your main street or it's a big store like Louis Vuitton. The equivalent is saying, well, I love that store, I love what they sell, but I don't want to buy from them, I don't want to support them because all they'll do is take my money and then buy other things that they'll then put back in the store and try to sell to me. And when I think about it, yeah, that's how business works. That's how it works. It's no different on YouTube. But for some reason, some people don't want to support that. And I'm not trying to pick on that person. That just stood out to me among other comments. Another example, we all know that product placement happens in movies. Coca-Cola may pay the people who make a movie to place Coca-Cola products in the film. Well, we don't avoid going to movies because we know that there will be product placement in them. Similarly, if you're into sports, you don't avoid going to a sports game and supporting your favorite team because you know that the people on the field, the players who have found a way to make a heck of a lot of money doing something they love, you don't stop going to games because of that. Or does it come down to, with luxury YouTube, that, oh, I don't want to support that channel because it just means that whatever money comes from me and goes to them is going for them to buy more handbags or live a more luxurious lifestyle than mine. If you feel that way, I would challenge you then to think about what other businesses you do support that really do exactly the same thing. For example, Target. So many people love Target and shop at Target. But of course, your money is partially going toward the executives making millions of dollars and living a far more luxurious, lavish lifestyle than you probably live. But does that stop you from going to Target? It is literally the same thing as you supporting a YouTuber, except it's on a different scale. Or is it because YouTube isn't seen as a legitimate job? It's a new job, it's a new field. So many people haven't grown up with content creation being a job because the internet didn't exist. And a lot of people don't like change. Everything has to stay the same. All change is bad. Or is it because YouTube seems so easy or it seems fun? I don't know. Personally, I enjoy supporting other channels. When I enjoy their content, I want them to keep making it, and I want to do whatever I can to encourage them. So yes, YouTube has changed, but I think it's changed for the better. I'm someone who is not afraid of change. I love change. I find change can be challenging, especially in a situation like this where I'm constantly challenged to do better in different ways. And to me, rather than thinking of it as change, I think of it as evolution, progression. So I think a lot of that really has to do with your perception and how you choose to interpret what you're seeing and how much you choose to value the work of other people and what that brings to your life, whether it's information, entertainment, whatever. Also, I would say with old luxury YouTube versus new luxury YouTube, often when these examples of big changes were given, it seems like people were talking about, and this is in the comment section too, not just Jerusha and Deb, seems like people were talking about some of the really biggest players with the biggest channels in this space, and that's where a lot of the biggest complaints lie. So maybe I haven't seen that change so much because I don't watch those channels. I tend to watch smaller channels. I tend to watch my friends, and their channels are still about handbags. They haven't changed to other topics. And yeah, people sometimes do sponsorships, and people certainly have affiliate links, and that's as it should be because people deserve to earn money for doing work. And if that is the kind of thing that you still want to see on YouTube, where it's still all about the love of handbags, well, I have good news. In the description box below, I have a list of some of my favorite YouTubers. These are people I know, friends of mine. I can not only vouch for their channels, but I can vouch for them personally as good people who are non-toxic. So check them out, and check out Jerusha and Deb's videos and my video on brands and sponsorships if you're interested in learning more about that. And of course, let me know what you think of all this in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope to see you back here next time, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.